In 1969, at the height of the Vietnam War, Ken Reesing, a 22-year-old American soldier, was stationed at the Long Binh base in Bien Hoa, Quang Nai province. Every evening after work, he stopped by the EM Club, a small soldier's canteen filled with laughter, the clink of beer bottles, and the sound of distant helicopters. That's where he saw her for the first time. Thuy Lan, a young Vietnamese girl with soft eyes and a quiet smile. She was just 17, working as a waitress to help her family. He had seen many faces in Vietnam, but hers stopped him cold. It felt, he would later say, like the whole room went silent for a moment. At first, he visited the club just to unwind, but soon he realized he was going there just to see her. One night, their eyes met, and this time, neither looked away. He walked up to her, nervous, holding a beer he didn't really want. "Xin Chao," he said awkwardly, his accent thick. She laughed softly, amused by his effort, and just like that, something began. Their love was quiet, gentle, and stolen, snatched between the noise of planes and the fear of war. Every weekend, after Lan finished church, they met near the small cemetery behind the base, where they could talk freely. Sometimes they said nothing at all, just watched the sunset fade over the fields. Ken told her about Ohio, where the winters were cold and the lakes froze. She told him about her dreams of being a teacher. They spoke in broken English and broken Vietnamese, but their hearts understood what words couldn't. Then came the news. His unit was being withdrawn early. His tour was ending. He was going home. The thought of leaving her tore him apart. "Come with me," he begged one evening. "To America." Lan shook her head, tears welling up. She was the eldest daughter. She couldn't abandon her parents and younger siblings. "Em Kong the," she whispered. "I can't." Ken didn't argue. He just held her hand. That night, he went into town and bought 50 envelopes. On each one, he wrote a number, 1 through 50. "When the last one comes," he told her, "I'll be back for you." Lan cried as she took them. He kissed her forehead. She whispered something in Vietnamese, words he didn't understand but carried in his heart for 50 years. Back in America, Ken kept his promise. Every week, he wrote a letter, 50 in all. In them, he poured out everything he couldn't say in person, his hopes, his memories, his longing. Lan replied faithfully, writing about her days in Bien Hoa, her prayers for him, her dreams. But when the last letter arrived, Ken was not on his way back. The war had turned darker. American troops were pulling out. Travel between the two countries became impossible. Their letters stopped. The line between them went silent. Lan's mother, terrified that her daughter's connection to an American soldier might bring danger, burned the photos, the envelopes, the keepsakes, everything. Lan cried but said nothing. She waited for months, then years. Eventually, she married a local man. But the marriage didn't last. Within a year, she was alone again, raising a child by herself and selling rice porridge on the streets of Bien Hoa. Across the ocean, Ken tried to rebuild his life. He married too, a quiet woman from his hometown. They never had children. When his wife passed away, Ken lived alone with his cat, carrying memories that never faded. Every now and then, he'd take out an old photo, a 17-year-old girl in a white ao dai, her eyes bright and her smile shy. He didn't know if she was alive, but in his heart, she still was. Half a century passed. The war had become history, but not for Ken. For him, it still lived in a single memory, a promise made to a girl in Bien Hoa. Then, one evening in 2019, everything changed. Ken joined an online group for American veterans who had served in Vietnam. There he met Robert, an Amerasian journalist living in Ho Chi Minh City. When Robert heard Ken's story, 50 Letters, A Love Lost in 1969, he was moved. "Let me help," he said. With Ken's permission, Robert posted a message on social media along with a faded photograph. "Hello, my name is Ken Riesing. I was stationed at Long Bin Base in Bien Hoa in 1969. I'm looking for a woman named Thuy Lan who worked at the EM Club. I promised to come back for her, but life took another path. I only want to know if she's alive and happy." The post spread across Vietnamese groups within hours. People shared it thousands of times. And then, one quiet morning, a woman in her 70s saw the photo. She gasped. "It's him," she whispered. "It's Ken." It was Lan. Their first video call was full of hesitation. 50 years had built a wall between them. When her face appeared on the screen, Ken froze. She looked so different. Silver hair, gentle wrinkles. But her eyes were the same. "Lan?" he whispered. She hesitated, searching his face. "Ken?" For a long moment, neither spoke. Then she began to cry. Ken sent her old photos, letters, and memories, proof of who he was. Slowly, the fog of time lifted. She began to remember. The EM Club, the soldier who spoke broken Vietnamese, the boy who bought her 50 envelopes. "It's really you," she said softly. From then on, every night at 8 p.m. Vietnam time, 8 a.m. in Ohio, they called each other. At first it was small talk, then laughter, then the same warmth that had once lived between them half a century earlier. Ken learned Vietnamese again just to say one sentence right. "An xin loi vi ja je em joy lao qua." "I'm sorry for making you wait so long." Lan covered her face and wept. In August 2019, Ken boarded a flight to Vietnam, his first time back since the war. He was 72. His hands trembled as he stepped through Tan Son Nhat Airport, holding a bouquet of lilies. Lan waited near the exit, her heart racing. When they saw each other, the crowd faded away. She reached out her hand. He took it, whispering, "I missed you." Lan smiled through tears. "I missed you too." For a moment, the years melted away, and they were 22 and 17 again, standing under the warm Bien Hoa sun. Ken stayed in Vietnam for 2 weeks, living with Lan's family. Every morning, he helped her sell chow, rice porridge, at her street stall, handing bowls to customers and joking with her in simple Vietnamese. The neighbors watched in disbelief, an old American veteran ladling soup beside a Vietnamese woman, laughing like a boy. They revisited Long Bin, the place where it all began. The old base was gone, but the trees and fields remained. Ken stood there quietly, eyes closed, as if hearing her laughter echoing across time. When a local reporter asked if they planned to marry, Ken smiled. "If she says yes," he said, "I'll marry her tomorrow." Lan blushed and laughed. "Let's see what tomorrow brings." Soon after, Ken returned to the U.S., promising to come back soon. But just months later, the world changed. The pandemic shut down borders. For 2 years, they were separated again. Not by war this time, but by distance. Still, their nightly calls never stopped. Then, one spring day in 2021, Ken posted a photograph of a small girl standing in a flower garden. He didn't explain who she was, but those who knew their story smiled knowingly. It was taken in Vietnam. Ken had returned. Whether or not they married, no one asked. Some love stories don't need an ending. As Ken once told a friend, "Loving Lan was the easiest thing I've ever done. Time couldn't stop it. War couldn't erase it." 50 years later, I still kept my promise. And somewhere in Bien Hoa, on quiet mornings when the light is soft and the air still smells of rain, an old woman named Thuy Lan brews tea and smiles. Because sometimes love really does come back home.